Welcome to Module 41, Defensive Strengths and Weaknesses in a 3-5-2. This module will look at some of the defensive strengths and weaknesses of a 3-5-2 and teach you a couple of ways to minimize the weaknesses. Let's start off by looking at some of the weaknesses, listed here. The first defensive weakness we will look at is the space that can exist behind the wingbacks, here. Because there are no true fullbacks, we can see that these spaces can potentially be exploited, which ties to another weakness, which is the vulnerability to a counterattack. As the highlighted player in possession drives forward and gives the ball away, we can see the immediate danger that exists, with neither wingback goal side and only 3 in the back. As we resume, the white team plays a conservative ball into feet, and we can now see another weakness listed, which is the potential for gaps to exist if the back 3 do not have chemistry and communication. Because there are only 3 truly defensive players, when one of the center backs steps out, here, it only leaves 2 others. Even if the sweeper and the left center back in this case do a good job of covering and balancing, a long switch or a through ball could still be very dangerous. In this case, we can see that the weak side is very exposed because of how far the left center back had shifted over. Now, let's switch angles and look at a few ways to minimize this weakness. The first is by utilizing the holding midfielder as a 4th defender. If the player slides into the back line, that creates a back 4 and allows the center back, here, to slide more centrally. Or maybe the player provides cover here, which would of course allow the sweeper to drop a bit deeper and the left center back to slide out to cover the weak side. The second is to have a quicker recovery from the weak side wingback. If the player is quick to recover back here, he would also create a back line with 4 players, again, more capable of dealing with the attack. The last way, which really was not possible in this scenario, is as simple as the wingback on the near side recovering into a goal side position. So, while different situations call for different actions, these are the most common ways of accounting for 3 in the back. We will focus more on these concepts in the module titled Defensive Shape in a 3-5-2. Now, let's look at 2 other weaknesses of a 3-5-2, the first being the confusion that may arise with only one opposing striker. With 2 center backs, it can be challenging to constantly pass off a lone striker as the player shifts from side to side, and can even be wasteful if both hang back because of that one player. Related to this weakness is the potential for the center backs to be dragged out of position by an opposing striker. In cases where the center backs man mark, it can be easy for the opposing striker to drag the player out of position like this and open up space behind. To minimize this weakness, the necessary piece is constant communication. On a more technical level, the 2 center backs might play a more liberal man-marking system. The sweeper may drop a bit deeper, or the midfielders will be aggressive in tracking their runs. Now, let's see some potential defensive strengths in a 3-5-2, listed here. The first defensive strength of a 3-5-2 is the numerical advantage it will often have in this central corridor of the field, with the presence of 3 central midfielders and 3 center backs. This can even turn into 7 centrally if the second striker, here, drops in defensively to help out like this. Related to this strength is the presence of 3 center backs, which, if executed well, protects central areas in their defensive third. The next 2 strengths we will look at result from the presence of wingbacks. In cases where you are maybe holding a lead or want to play more defensively, it's also easy to adjust the formation to have the wingbacks have a deeper starting position like this, almost playing as outside backs. With mobile wingbacks who have a high level of fitness, you can get strong numbers behind the ball, while maintaining numbers in the attack. We will focus more on these strengths in the module titled Attacking Shape in a 3-5-2. Before moving on, here is a recap of what we went over in this video.